it's really bright in here, and hey guys, moving right along. That's a good question. Oh, microphone. Um, People, things. I'm like a cat, right? Hey everybody, welcome back to Books Yada Yada. I'm Dina, and thank you for watching. So today what I thought I would do is something a little bit different. I've seen all these different tags on BookTube, and I was trying to pick one, and I saw one that really kind of interested me, and it's the reading habits tag. So I've already done the Goodreads tag. I have yet to do the newbie tags, which I probably should have done from the very beginning, but it just didn't occur to me because I wasn't really aware of the tag, and I think a lot of you probably already know my personality and what I like to read and all that stuff. But I will do something sort of like that at some point, so you can kind of get to know me a little bit more. But today I wanted to do the reading habits tag because I've been talking a lot about doing a reading with ADHD video. And so I thought this was a great way, this reading habits tag, to kind of merge those two things because as a lot of you know who watch my channel, I suffer with ADHD. And that can be a giant hurdle when you're reading. And it has been for me my whole entire life. My ADHD has shaped my reading habits. If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and read the first question on the reading habits tag. And what I'm going to try to do is incorporate my kind of tips and tricks that I use having ADHD and reading into the questions. So hopefully this won't be too long. Number one, do you have a certain place at home for reading? I really don't. I'm kind of all over the place, as you can see. Like, I shoot in so many different areas of my home. I don't live in a mansion, but I do like to shoot and change it up a lot. So I do read in various locations in my house, but primarily I read physical reading in bed before I go to sleep. I will read usually for a couple of hours. I'll do my physical reading. My husband will watch TV or be on his phone or whatever, and that's when I get most of my physical reading done because I can't sit still, right? And this is the part of the ADHD that kicks in. So this might benefit some of you. It might help some of them who have ADHD as adults. And you find that you try to pick a spot in your house and sit down and read for maybe an hour, and you just can't sit still. You just can't do it. So that's why reading before bed is my number one tip. You are in that process of winding down your day, kind of shut off our brains mode. That's what really helps me. That's primarily, like I said, where I do the bulk of my reading, physical reading. Is before I go to bed. As for other places, I will read in waiting rooms because there's never anything good to read in a waiting room. I mean, right? It's like People Magazine or Us Weekly, and I don't want to read about that crap, right? So I always have a book with me, and I will read pretty much anywhere. All right, number two, bookmark or random piece of paper. Yes, bookmark. And I'm going to show you my bookmarks. These are ancient, okay? So I use this one, and it's got a great quote. Everybody knows this one who loves to read. A room without books is like a body without a soul, Cicero, right? So, and it's got this cute little, I don't know if you can see that picture of a cozy little, it just reminds me of my living room because we do have a fireplace. But I picked this up. I picked the story behind this bookmark, basically, is that when I worked at Walden Books back in my early 20s, I'm pushing 50. So this book is very old. This book is this bookmark is very old. It's like almost 30 years old, because I don't know how long it was sitting on the shelf before I bought it, right? So this bookmark has been with me through many, 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 many different books, many different travels and journeys in my lifetime. And my daughters, when they were younger, they wrote in Sharpies, but some of it's a little worn off, but they wrote "Love you to the moon and back." My older daughter wrote that one, and then my younger daughter wrote, you're the best, never forget." So I can never get rid of this bookmark. It really is. I'm not a schmaltz person. I'm not a big sentimentalist, but this bookmark holds a lot of sentimental value for me. Let's just put it that way. So yes, bookmark. And then the other one, again, ancient bookmark. I picked this up, I don't remember where, but it's an Andy Warhol photo booth type deal, right? Bookmark. And I attached this leather cord to it years and years ago. I'd say this is probably like 20 years old. I use this bookmark for my hardcovers, the books that are a little bit more substantial, right? Where I use this one more for my softcover paperbacks. So bookmarks for sure. Number 3, can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a chapter / a certain amount of pages? I can stop reading if I have to. Now, if I'm reading and something's going on where I can't read, obviously, then yeah, I'm going to stop. But usually when I go into a book, I plan on finishing it in a day or two. Depends on the book. So if the book is a ginormous, right, then I'm going to set a goal, and maybe it's a big book that's kind of got a slow build. I'm going to probably set a goal to read maybe like the first 50 pages and stop there, because if I can't get into it and it doesn't keep me hanging on, then I'll cut myself off at the 50 pages. But if it's really good, then I'm going to keep going as much as I possibly can, because that's just how I am. So how this ties in with ADHD, right? How audiobooks saved me so much when it comes to reading. What I can do is move around, because I am kind of hyperactive, right? I tend to, like to be doing other things and multitasking around the house or whatever. So I can still listen to the story, and I can get through the book. And, sometimes if it's a really good book, I might finish it in a day. That helps me a lot with my ADHD. And I wish I had audiobooks as a kid, because I definitely would have read more, and I wouldn't have it wouldn't have taken me, in other words, like weeks to get through a book, because I'd have to read one page 10 times over, because I, would get so distracted thinking about other things. And that sucks. And you understand, if you have ADHD, you understand the frustration. And I'm serious when I say this. It is frustrating when you are trying to read a book and your mind is going in a million different directions, and when it's pinballing all over the place, you can not simply sit down and read a book. It's very, very hard. So audiobooks, that's my second tip. Did I give a first tip? I think I did. Well, anyway, so that's my second tip. Try audiobooks. And now there's audiobooks out there for kids too. So if you have a child who suffers from ADHD or ADD, get them into audiobooks. Download Hoopla or Libby if your libraries participate with those programs or those apps, because that is a great tool. There's tons and tons of free audiobooks on Libby and Hoopla. Number 4, do you eat or drink while reading? Of course. Of course I can eat or drink anytime and anywhere. That's an easy one. Number 5, multitasking, music or TV while reading. Okay, so I touched on this a little bit, right? I'm a multitasker, so I do like to multitask. The question pertains more towards like while you're physically reading, do you have music on or TV on? Usually I will have the TV on. Like I said, when I do physically read, it's before bedtime. And my husband, he'll either be on his phone or doing something else. And so I just put it on the Hallmark Channel. And nothing against the Hallmark Channel, but I just know that I'm not going to get distracted by the Hallmark Channel. So I'm not going to you know, sorry. If you watch the Hallmark Channel, I love the Hallmark Channel because it's like the cozy mysteries of TV, right? It's fun and it's sweet and it's just light and fluffy. So that's what I usually do is if I'm reading, even by myself in my living room, I will always have the TV on. I don't do I don't do music because I'm a huge music freak. So I will get distracted by the music. All right. If I put it on elevator music, like my theme tune to my channel, then maybe I won't get distracted, but I don't really want to listen to that. Because that's in my head all the time now. Ever since I switched to my theme music, it's like do 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 boo, right? It's like an earworm. I hope it's not an earworm to you because I really hope that you keep watching my channel. But anyway, I have to have some kind of background noise. And I know it's weird with ADHD. You think, oh, distraction, but no, we are worse when it's quiet. At least I am personally. Some of you with ADHD might like to have peace and quiet, but I can't do that. I've got to have noise. I sleep with a white noise machine, right? I have to have some kind of noise in the background because if I don't, then my brain distracts me too much. Anyway, number 6, one book at a time or several at once. Okay, this is the problem. Again, with your ADHD, right? What do? Right? You have a whole bunch of different books that you want to read. And, do you start with one, but then you're just chomping at the bit to get through that one because you want to get to the next one? So I did this for the longest time, and I would read maybe 3 different books at one time. And I just can't do that. I have to stick with one book because if I start reading other books, I just get all discombobulated. The plots from one book will blend into a plot from another book, and then I'll get everything all jumbled up. I've gotten older. I've become more organized when it comes to reading and the sequence of reading my books. I don't go off my TBR. I'm a mood reader. So whatever kind of floats my boat in the moment, that's what I'm going to read, and that's what I'm going to commit to, and that's what I'm going to stick to. So with the ADHD, it's kind of hard. And that's why short stories, which I talked about in my last video, are extremely important, I think, for people with ADHD or for children with ADHD who are trying desperately to read, is getting into short stories or novellas as adults. These are stories that are, very small. So I think the problem with ADHD a lot of the time and trying to or grappling with it is hefty books, because if you're reading a book that's 400 pages, 500 pages, or Game of Thrones size pages, if you're grappling with those mega books, then it's a task that in your mind is very difficult because it's like climbing Mount Everest to those of us with ADHD. So the bottom line, and where I'm trying to go with this, is that when you have a mega book, I like to cut the book in half. Not literally cut the book in half, but I will stop somewhere in the middle. So say you're reading a book that's 800 pages long, right? I'll stop at the 350, 400 mark. Put that book down, right? Put it aside, and then read something else, like a novella or some short stories. And do that for maybe a few days to kind of cleanse the palate. And then I'll go back and read the other half of the book. Number 7, reading at home or everywhere. I read mostly at home. I'm an introvert and I love home. I love home. I love my house. I love being home. I love staying home. My husband and I kind of are the same that way, so that works out really well. But if we are traveling, if I'm taking the metro into the city or just, on the train, plane, automobile, I will read, usually in those places as well. And I usually, because I do get very distracted by people, I will listen and read. So I'll plug in, right? Get the earbuds in and then read, and that makes the trip like so much shorter. Number 8, reading out loud or silently in your head. I never read out loud. The last time I read out loud, well, it's right now actually, but the last time I read out loud, like books, was to my kids when they were little. So that was like a really, really long time ago. But I read silently in my head. I can't read out loud because that distracts me. Maybe that's another ADHD thing. It's like the sound of my voice distracts me. My own voice distracts me. So I have to read silently. Do you read ahead or skip pages? Yes, I do. If the book is just dragging on, I will skim it if I have to. I will get to the end. I don't DNF a lot of books. I have a few, but once I commit to something, I commit to it, and I don't like to DNF a book. So I will skim. Number 10, breaking the spine or keeping it like new. Oh my God, that's a great question. I'm not one of those people that has to keep things in pristine condition. I'm just not. Like I said, I'm not schmaltzy. I'm not a sentimentalist in a lot of ways. So I'm not one of those people that like gets a new book and is like, takes the jacket off. And, some of you do that. That's your thing, I'm not criticizing you at all, but I don't care, especially because a lot of the books that I get are from used bookstores or thrift books, or, they're a lot of the time they're not brand new. So it just doesn't bother me. But I'm not going to like drop it all over the place either. I might get some food on it or spill my wine or coffee on it. That's the worst I've ever done to a book, I think. And that's not such a bad thing to spill wine on a book, right? Number 11, do you write in your books? No, I don't like to write in my books. And I just said I'm not like one of those people that is into keeping things pristine, but I just don't, because if I unhaul the book or share it with someone, I really don't want to mess it up for them. And I've done this where I've gotten books from used bookstores or thrift books, and I haven't thrift books, you don't know what you're going to get, really. And I've gotten books where people have annotated and circled things, and I'm like, shit, why didn't I just buy the used and good condition one instead of the acceptable one? Because the acceptable ones are always the ones that have like the marks in them and stuff. And I don't mind like, smudges or things like that, but I just got a used book from thrift books not that long ago that somebody just went through and like circled like every word in the book, and I'm not going to be able to read it because of that. I'm going to have to buy a new copy. So I don't like to do that. What I do is if it's a book that I like, and I'm just using this one for example, this is Circe, these little flags, right? These little Post-it flags. So if I'm going through a book and I want to make note of a certain passage or something like that, then I will use those flags, or I'll use a very small Post-it note if I want to annotate. But I'm not in college anymore, so I don't really annotate that much. And on my Kindle, okay, I will, we all know the highlight portion of the Kindle, so that makes it really easy. So, that's why I kind of go between my Kindle and my physical books, is because I like to be able to make note of certain passages in the book that really, I found interesting, or I had maybe a question about and I wanted to research. So I don't write in my books. I hope this helps you. I know it helped me just talking about it. I probably will do a part 2 on physical reading with ADHD and how I do that, because if you can't get into audiobooks but you still really want to physically read books and you find that a challenge, then there are some tips that I have for physical reading. So I'll be doing that later on. All right, so this was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And it just, this room, this is my husband's office, and I love it because it's really comfortable. He has this like great comfy sectional in here. But it is very bright, and it's bright out today, and you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you the next time.